News now from Mumbai and Maharashtra, and a medical survey of nearly 7,000 people in Mumbai has found that 1 in 6, or about 16% of residents in the city had contracted coronavirus. In the slum areas where lakhs of people live in cramped spaces, usually sharing toilets, the number was a whopping 57%. Now, the serological surveillance study used random sampling in the first 2 weeks of the month, and in sero studies, the doctors test the blood of a section of the general population to check the presence of antibodies to the disease. Antibodies develop only when the person has contracted the disease in the past. So many of them are asymptomatic people. Well, let's go across to Saurabh for more on this story. And Saurabh, we've already had the sero survey of Delhi that showed that 23% of the population were infected. And now fascinating to see the numbers in Mumbai also. Is it going to happen regularly in Mumbai?
Well, one of the things of a sero survey is primarily to see the extent to which the infection has spread, and also then there are several other corresponding issues as well. Now, when it comes to Mumbai, and when you have slums in which there are people who are living in cramped conditions in little apartments, they're not even apartments actually, they're just small rooms, and where you have 8 to 10 people cramped into those rooms, and they're all dependent on community toilets, then of course containment measures will seldom work. So in this situation, the 57% of the number from that sample survey that came out is something that perhaps was not surprising. The fact is that in Mumbai you've had the peak of the virus, at least that's what experts, public health experts say, and when it comes to the non-slum areas, that number falls to 16%, where containment measures seem to work. So in a crowded city like Mumbai, this survey is something that many public health experts say is something that perhaps was along expected lines, the figures. Now, what does this mean in terms of herd immunity? That's something that's being thrown about now. In terms of herd immunity, what experts say is that at least 60% of your population has to get infected. And there are, of course, several other corresponding factors as well. But this 60% number that they're talking about when it comes to herd immunity, and with the slum areas showing at least 50% of people having antibodies from those who were surveyed, there seems to be an agreement on the fact that perhaps in at least the slum areas, the city could be moving towards herd immunity.
All right, Saurabh, thanks so much for joining us with those details.